How's it going, YouTube? It's Cornwall here. Thank you for joining me for another video today. And today we've got a thoughts and review on the Logitech G923 wheel. So I've had the wheel for about a week now, and I thought it was a good time to get a review together, my thoughts and opinions out for you guys to listen to. If you didn't catch the unboxing, there'll be a card in the top right hand corner and also a link below in the description, so you can have a look at what the actual wheel looks like and the unboxing of it and my initial thoughts and opinions there. I don't have an affiliate link, so I'll just put a link to Amazon or something like that where you can get the wheel, but you know, wherever you can get it from. So without further ado, let's just start breaking it down. So I just thought I'd start off with giving you the specs of the wheel. So let's just kind of get the boring bits out of the way with, if you like. So it's got the usual 90 degrees of rotation. It's got an overheat safeguard, which is pretty cool. It's got the new True Force feature, which basically adds extra vibration to the way the wheel works. So when you're using the wheel, it's picking up noises from the car, and it actually converts that noise into vibration to the point that the actual wheelbase makes the noise as well. You can actually hear the revs of the car and different things. As well as the usual Logitech goodies, it's got a leather wheel, brushed stainless steel finish to the pedals. You also get 3 pedals out of the box, which you don't always get with some wheels. I know even some wheels, some of the high-end stuff, you don't even get any wheels with it. You don't even get a rim, you just get the base unit. So it's quite nice that they've done that. The pedals have also been upgraded, so with this model they've enhanced the brake, so it's not only the rubber inside it, but it's a spring as well. It's like a mixture of both, and to be fair, it's pretty decent. It's not quite as good as my load cell, but that is kind of like uber kind of extreme resistance, if you like. It's, you know, you can hardly press it, but that's just the nature of a load cell. But it did feel better than the stock Thrustmaster pedals that I had with the stock brake on it. It's kind of like an in-between, which is quite nice. There's also a dual clutch function on the wheel, works quite well. There's not an awful lot of games that I play that use it, but basically you set it up so you've obviously got your clutch pedal, and then you've got a button on the steering wheel, and what happens is you alter the biting point for the car. And then I'll do another video on this, but basically you alter the biting point of the car so the clutch just starts to move the car, and then what you do is you assign a clutch button, and what happens is you lower the clutch of the pedal so it gets a biting point, or the car just starts to move, and just let's say that's 60%, the button will account for the other 40, so it's a full clutch press. You let go of the button that you've assigned to it, the car will start to move, and then you ease up off the clutch. That's in effect how it works. I'll do a link below to their official website to all these specs and different things. I couldn't find anything definitive about how the force feedback itself, so the actual newtons, if you like, and different things like that. There's varying in rumours or different things that people have done, but there's nothing official from Logitech that I could see, so I've not included that, but it feels pretty good. It's decent. So in terms of the setup, the wheel is super easy to set up, and I think it's probably got one of the better kind of desk mounts that I've seen. It was dead easy to set it up on my play seat, and that's what I use for my rig. But also it's got the like grippers that you use for the desk, and unlike the Thrustmaster one, it's something that you kind of bolt on and then bolt onto the table. It's kind of like a triangle. This has actually got 2 clamps that are built into the wheel. You send them down, and then you screw it back together and then push it in, and it all kind of locks into place, which I found not only good for obviously desk mounting, but it's also really good for actually attaching it to my rig. It actually gave it that little bit of extra stability, if you like, even though it has got 2 bolts in the bottom of it. Next up, we're just going to talk about the software. Now, the wheel is pretty much plug and play. If you're new to sim racing, you might not want to change too much. I personally did change some of the vibration settings, which we can get to in other videos, and I'll come on to shortly about how it looks and feels. But in terms of the software, I do have to say that the majority of racing wheels that I've either seen videos of and had experience with, such as Thrustmaster 1, the software isn't that intuitive. Sometimes you're kind of looking at stuff going, well, I think I can change this, or it doesn't really give you that many options. However, Logitech have done an amazing job with the Logitech G Hub. It's got all the graphics. It just looks clean, fresh, and as if it's been designed for a consumer rather than a developer or someone that's like hardcore into that kind of thing. And I think other companies should take a leaf out of this book, because sometimes with the Thrustmaster ones, you're a bit unsure what you're changing and different things, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's being developed fully. It's like, feels like it's still in a beta, or something that's been left over from Windows XP days. So the Logitech G Hub allows you to do all the tweaks that you need to, change your sensitivities, test your car out, test your wheel out, and then also do some of the button mappings and different things as well. Obviously that's if you're playing on PC. You can make a few tweaks so you can then take it to the console, but yeah, so far so good. Well done Logitech on a really good job with the Logitech G Hub. So how does it feel in the True Force? So I did touch on this a little bit. It feels really good. For the wheel, the market, it's kind of pledging it to, and it's done it for. The price point's a little bit different, but we'll get to that later. But I have had to turn down a lot of the True Force and the overall vibrations, because I felt like the wheel itself was trying to almost vibrate itself off the rig, and it was a little bit jarring. I prefer like the feel of the car and the force feedback, and the extra vibrations it was giving kind of worked, but it was too much out of the box for me. So I kind of turned them both down to about half-ish, and that seems to work really well. So I'm getting some of the extra vibrations from the True Force, but I'm also getting the standard vibrations that you normally get as well. I've been doing a lot of this in F1 2020 on the PS4, and I will do another video just to show my settings if anybody else has picked up this wheel, just to show you how I've set it up, because I have tweaked it quite a bit just to suit my needs. And something else that I've also found on the F1 games, which I'm going to try on my other wheel and other variations of the game, is I've actually tweaked, I think it was the linearity, I need to double check, but of the pedals, so it's not quite as sensitive. That this is the throttle pedal, and what that allows me to do is have a greater control over the acceleration, because with the F1 games you don't want to kind of have an all or nothing, because you're going to come a cropper with that, because you need to be able to just ease the accelerator down and off and different things like that. So yeah, it works really well. The pedals really good. The brake feels great. Tweaked it a little bit, but it's just nice. It feels good. And again, the dual clutch, system, again, it works well. Unfortunately, the F1 game doesn't support it yet. Whether it's going to, I don't know, because it could give you a maybe an edge in multiplayer. But it would be nice to be able to have that option, even if it was just in single player. Just because it's one of the things I do struggle with is the starts, but you know, it is what it is. The other thing that I do like about this is each of the buttons does something in game, and there's not a surplus of buttons. So what I mean by this is my Thrustmaster TX, the standard rim that you get with that, has lots of extra buttons, and it's like this. The Logitech wheel is for the PlayStation and for PC. That's my Thrustmaster is for PC and Xbox. However, they've put a lot of extra buttons on it. Great if you're on a PC. If you're on an Xbox, you're kind of like, well, what's the point? Because some of them double up as other buttons. There's like buttons behind the wheel, which is lovely. So yeah, the extra buttons are there, but they kind of just don't do anything. They double map as something, so you could be changing gear with those buttons rather than using the paddles, which is a bit of a pain. But other than that, yeah, the wheel's great. The way it's laid out, there's no issues with setting it up and how it feels. The leather bounding on the wheel is lovely. The stitching needs a bit of wearing in. You know, sometimes when you get something new and you just need, you know, a good, I don't know, month or so with it just to wear it in a little bit. But other than that, I can't complain. It's quite nice to have that leather feel on the wheel rather than having some of these weird kind of, not faux leather, but like moleskin or something that sometimes they put on these wheels, and it ends up giving you sore hands. This one doesn't. Like I say, a little bit of rubbing from the stitching, but nothing major. So let's move on to 5 annoying things about the wheel. So So the buttons are completely black. They've been like frosted out, if you like, or smoked out, or whatever you call them. And it can be a bit of a pain if you're driving in dim lighting. So I do a lot of racing like at night, like physically in real life, and I don't have a lot of lighting on because I'm focusing on what's on the screen. And sometimes you need to look down, and then you're like really having to squint because all the buttons have been blacked out, if you like. And I'm like, oh, is it that button? Is it not? But you know, it's just one of those little things. The buttons are a little bit out of the way. Now, this is my first time with a Logitech wheel, but I believe that this rim is pretty much the same throughout most of the models. And it would have been nice if they'd have looked at the wheel and gone, let's do something a little bit different with it. For example, when I'm pressing the DRS button, it's quite a stretch. I've got relatively big hands, and it can be a bit of a stretch. It's not in an intuitive place where I can just press it with my thumb and still have control of the wheel, because there's nothing worse than having to take your hand partially off the wheel or whatever, especially if you're changing up and you've got to press a button, and then you get a bit of snap of oversteer, understeer or whatever, and then you've got to quickly grab the wheel, and you may lose control. So that's just a little bit from me. Depending on how close you are to the console, the USB cable is a little bit short. The one on my Thrustmaster feels a little bit longer, but you probably could use an extension with it. I don't know if that's recommended or not, but yeah, the USB feels a little bit short. In order to change the pedals or add shifters and different things, you have to unmount the wheel. So on my Playseat Challenge, it's bolted on, and the plug-in is really nice design, but I think they've gone for kind of like the nicety over the ability to use the wheel and the functionality of it. Because if you did want to whip the pedals out and put another set in, or I don't want to plug in my shifter all the time, with the Thrustmaster all the ports are on the back, easy to access when it's mounted, lovely. Whereas this, they're kind of underneath in a recess, and then there's a nice cable management system that allows you to push your cables out and put them where you need to. So that's where you're losing a little bit of length on your cable, but also in order to add anything to it, you've got to unmount your base to then mess around with the cables or move the cables to then mount it back on, and it's just a little bit of a faff. And lastly, this is a little bit of a strange one, but the paddles seem very close to the actual main unit itself. I sometimes like stretch my hands out a little bit if I'm doing a long race, or when you're moving your hand to press some of the buttons and different things. And I do find that sometimes the paddles are, the wheel could just be moved an inch, half an inch away from that, just so you've got a bit of space. But just a little thing, but it just felt quite close to the actual base unit. But it's not all doom and gloom. Let's move on to 5 things I like about the wheel. Okay, so number 1, if you like, or whatever, software. So the software, as I've already mentioned, is super easy to use. Basically, well done Logitech. I really like that feature, and the Logitech G Hub. The unit itself, including the pedals, is super light. Now, don't confuse this with quality, because the pedals are still pretty great, and that when I've got my Thrustmaster unit on there and then my T3PA Pro pedals on my Playseat, I wouldn't dare take it down into my living room to have a play with it on my big TV. It just gets moved around in my office. It's pretty heavy, whereas this, fairly light, and you can get away with moving it around a lot easier. The leather on the wheel feels great. From a little bit of wearing, like I say, it's got that box fresh at the minute. It would be awesome, and it's got a nice leather smell to it as well, which I quite like. So yeah, it feels really nice as it doesn't feel plasticky. That extra leather bit gives it a little bit of quality. The pedals, let's be fair, they've gone a little bit extra with the brake pedal, which makes it feel great. Hopefully that's not going to change with a little bit of wearing over time. But the fact that you get 3 pedals as well. Most wheels these days, like I say, might not even come with some pedals, but this comes with 3. 9 times out of 10 you tend to get 2, which, take it or leave it, not everyone's going to need the clutch pedal, but hey, it's there if you need it. You don't even have to use it as a clutch if you want. If you're doing a dirt game, like a rally game, you can use that as the handbrake if you like, if you can get your head around that type of thing. But the option's there. And lastly, all the buttons do something. I like the fact that you can completely navigate the PlayStation 4 from the wheel. As far as I've found, I've not found any access issues. All the buttons do something on the wheel when it's plugged into a PlayStation 4, which makes it super easy just to use your wheel, and you don't have to keep switching to and from the controller and the wheel. So the conclusion, should you buy it? I kind of want to say yes. However, it depends on what price you can get it for. Now, unfortunately, this is one of the negatives about the wheel, is the fact that they've pitched the price incorrectly. I feel this wheel feels like it's still a kind of a beginner's, maybe intermediate wheel. I mean, a lot of the pros still use these kind of wheels as well, but for the price they're pitching it at, originally I think they were saying it's going to be about, well, it is quite, £350, £400, which you're then starting to go, well, should I just save another £200-300 or whatever it's going to be, and get a Fanatec? Granted, you're probably looking at the belt-driven one. The direct drive's a little bit more than that, but it's kind of breaching on the, it's teetering on that edge as to whether you'd buy this wheel or would you then just save a little bit more and go that next step. I think it's a great wheel for someone that's getting into sim racing and wants their first wheel. It just needs to be that little bit cheaper. If it was £150-200, then it's almost perfect for that, because you don't have to buy too much stuff to get the extra benefits that some of the sim racers are. So you won't have to buy, to start off with, you won't have to buy any extra pedals to get a clutch pedal if you so wish to use a clutch pedal or you feel the need to. And the shifter for this is only £40. Yes, you can use the Logitech shifter with other things, but that's for another video. But you then got a fully set up rig for not a lot of money, and it's even got the little dial on it, although it's a little bit low, but it's got the little rev counter on it and different things like that, and it makes it a really, really good beginner's wheel. It just needs to be cheaper. So I would say yes, buy it, but wait till it's possibly on offer or there's a discount on it, just because I think they've pitched it at the wrong price. Thrustmasters are kind of like the next level up. Please don't at me in the comments if you can disagree with me, but just don't come at me hard if you're a Logitech fan against Thrustmasters. But I do feel like Thrustmasters have that little bit of an edge on the way their wheels are, and I can't make up my mind. I need to go back to my Thrustmaster to see how I feel about the force feedback on that. But this is a great beginner's wheel, but it's breaching on that kind of price market where it doesn't know where it quite sits. It's gone for some extra features, which, to be fair, I don't think really add too much, and to the point that I've turned them down. But as a base wheel, it works great, but pitch it at the right price. £150-200 would be perfect. Whether they're capitalising on the current situation and the fact that the market's gone crazy and you're struggling to get certain wheels, I don't know. But my first impressions of having the Logitech wheel are great. I don't think I would have, well, I wouldn't have bought it, because I was relatively happy with my Thrustmaster, but I'm glad I've had the opportunity to use one and have a play around with one, because yeah, it's adding that to my portfolio, if you like, and I can kind of compare the two. And if people want to ask me which one should you get, I think I would say this if you're a beginner, but it just needs to be the right price point. So anyway, guys, that's enough waffling for me. I really hope you enjoyed this review and a deeper look at the Logitech G923. All the links and different things are in the description. If you found this video informative and you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, because believe it or not, I get quite a lot of views on a lot of my videos, especially ones like this. However, for some reason, only like 20% of you actually follow my channel. So if you would give it a subscription, if you do that, it just helps the channel grow, and hit that bell notification if you are a subscriber, so you're notified of any future videos. Until next time, guys, I shall see you all soon. If there's anything in particular you want me to test out or tell you more about this wheel, drop a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Keep safe. See you all soon.